So here we are at the start of the Gravel 150, and Moi is standing right at the back because he's an old guy, and old guys should go back to the parking lot, get in your car and get the hell out of here because this race is not for you. This is not a system which I'm used to coming from mountain bike marathons. You have the pros and then you have everybody. You can just go stand. The earlier you are, the further you are to the front. And at this gravel race, I had to stand right at the back. Personally, I think there's a bit of a difference between a guy that's been riding for 40 years and been racing his whole life and a 25-year-old that's doing his first gravel race. There was so much traffic. So even if you try to make up space and try to get by people, there was so much traffic. I was basically riding with a heart rate of 110 in the first 20 Ks because I couldn't go anywhere. I was just sitting it out waiting for the roads to open up, and by that time the guys, they start 2 minutes ahead of me. That start took me 2 minutes to get across the line. I enhanced the speed 4 times, so it didn't take forever on the video, but it took me 2 minutes to get across the line. So 2 minutes. I don't know if you guys have ever had to stop for a pee break during a mountain bike race or a gravel race, but I think a pee stop takes at least 1 minute of your time. And if you're in a group and you got to pee, you got to slow down. You got to pee, which I've timed now 40 seconds because I wanted to know how long it took, and you have to get going again. So that group is about a minute away. You've stopped for a minute and that group kept going for a minute. It's the hardest bloody job to get back to those guys and actually join the group again. So 2 minutes is a lifetime if you still caught in traffic. So I thought about it. Let's make gravel racing exciting and fair. What about everybody that does a gravel race does a 10 kilometer time trial on gravel the day before? 10 kilometers, it determines where you're going to start, gives you a better starting position. If you suck, you get a puncture, you have bad luck, you start at the back. But that's a much fairer system. There's got to be a system for gravel cycling. You can't put the older guys at the back of the race and give them no chance. So my idea is a 10k time trial the night or afternoon before, and that's a very smart idea. Hopefully UCI gets back to me on that problem. Back to the race. At this stage of the race, I'm just trying to spend as little energy as possible and trying to move up a little bit once the faster groups comes by. I knew at this stage that there were 3 bottlenecks where we would come to standstill totally for about a minute. So it's 3 times 1 minute, so it made no sense to kill yourself and then stand still. So I just wanted to kind of move along and not spend too much energy and burn too many matches, and especially not lose but gain. But I knew I was going to stand still for 3 minutes. We had a little bridge that was okay, actually went okay. Then we had this area coming up. I'm not showing it because we're standing still for about 1.5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes. And then we had another little bridge where it was a bottleneck. So at this stage I was doing pretty okay, and I was just trying to go with the groups coming past, and it started getting muddier. But at this stage I still had high hopes because it was a little bit dry here and there. But heard rumors, but of course you want it not to be bad, and you hope it's going to be good. I had gravel tires, of course, 44 millimeters, but they are actually made for dry conditions. And before the race, the guys were commenting on my tires, but I thought it would be like it is now, and maybe a puddle here and there, but I totally did not reckon on mud. So that would become a problem, but at this stage I was not concerned about that yet, because I had a feeling we were doing a great job, and the tires were great. In these conditions they were actually pretty good, and it was no problem. I have to say that the guys on the gravel bikes, it's my first official gravel start, UCI start. I have to admit the guys on the gravel bikes were pretty decent and not really fighting for every millimeter like they do in the mountain bike starts. But I mean, this is a long race, so it didn't really make sense either to do that, I guess, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. So I was cruising along nicely here and feeling very comfortable. I have to admit the first 30 k's my heart rate was about 110, whereas in a mountain bike marathon the first 30 k's my heart rate will be about 180, 170. So it's totally different scene, because in the mountain bike marathon you're starting in the front and you're trying to get rid of as many people as possible to get the roads to open up for yourself and to get rid of a lot of people. Whereas here I was just stuck in a chain, had nowhere to go. So my heart rate here was about 110. It was really, really comfortable. And what I was basically doing is waiting and hoping the roads would open up. I have this idea of unbound gravel with vast, wide gravel roads, but that's not Holland. So I think this might be my last gravel race in Holland. It's really too much single track, bicycle lanes we can't pass, gates, bridges. It's a bit hectic, and I'm sure it would have been better if the conditions were better. On the right side, everyone's riding on the bicycle lane, which probably would not have been necessary if gravel roads weren't as wet. But they were moving faster, so I'm moving over right now. Made a bit of a difference, but I was a bit late because we went back onto the gravel road pretty soon after this. Most of the riders were still okay at this stage and having a chat to you if you passed them or they passed you. They had a comment. One guy commented on my 13:21 gear ratio because I have 105 group set, stuff like that. Everyone felt okay, but we're slowly but surely going to the trenches over here, because soon it would be so muddy, and each time you did a muddy section you were hoping it could get better, but it never really got better. And after a muddy section you'd be on a piece of road, you'll think, oh, it's going to get better, but then 400 meters later you turn back onto a muddy section, and it was crazy. It was just crazy. Over here, still my heart rate was about 110. It was really easy. I mean, it's totally the opposite of a mountain bike race. So, like I said, nowhere to go, all dressed up and nowhere to go. But I was enjoying myself because I had high hopes for good trails, not too much mud, because at this stage it was still okay. So I was pretty enthusiastic at this stage. Basically, I just wanted to stay in this group and ride it out, and I was hoping for open roads. Maybe I could go a bit harder, or maybe where a couple of guys could cross over to the group in front. That's basically what I was thinking all the time. Once I get open space, I would try to cross over to the group in front. What was happening over here was the first 3 guys or 4 guys in this group were actually crossing over to the group in front, but of course I couldn't see that. I mean, I was just on this guy's back wheel, and don't ask me how. I think this guy was one of the guys too that crossed over. I don't know how he did it, but I'm sure he was in the front group as well when I got there. I never saw him going, so it's pretty interesting. Still my heart rate 110, 115, 120 now. So it looks like we're going fast, but it was not really, it was just kind of riding behind each other and taking it slow and being careful. It was quite slippery, but this was still absolutely doable. It was absolutely great. To what we were about to see, you won't believe it if you see it. It was really hectic. I was really pleased at this stage with the sun. It was quite cold in the morning. They were expecting actually worse weather. We had 1 or 2 hoses where we got really wet, but for the rest, not too bad. Now these are the kind of roads where you should be able to make up some time, because you have 2 lanes, but you really couldn't make up time because maybe you could get 5 places, but soon if there's mud you would lose them again. This was the first section of open road, so what I tried to do, I tried to break away from the group and cross over. Yes, I did take 1 or 2 people with me, but I thought I could put in a big effort and see if I can get to the next group, because as I said earlier, I knew that a couple of guys had gone over. I missed them in the group and that I was in, and I thought to myself, okay, I'll do 1 major effort on these roads. Didn't know how long this road would take. I was hoping it would be longer. It was a good piece of gravel and no mud, so I could really put the power down. And looking behind me, I saw 1 or 2 guys come with, so I left the rest of the group behind. Did not know when I would see the front group, so I was hoping to do that pretty soon at this stage. So I was doing about 350 watts here, and just each time I took a turn, I hope to see them, but of course it's not that easy. You got to keep riding, and basically I was hoping on a single track section of mud where they would be held up with a bottleneck and that I could cross over. But I was starting to doubt myself at this stage. And then, yes, what happened? There they are. I saw the rear of the group and I put everything down right now to get across, which I actually did just in time, because once I crossed over to the group, I hit a muddy section again where they also were riding quite hard, but crossing over to a group in the mud that would have been difficult for me with my tires, because in muddy sections I really felt that I had little control over the bike. I guess everyone had that. I can say my tires were not in my advantage, which is definitely true, I think. But I think no one really had much traction. It was just leaving the steering alone and letting the bike. This is the muddy section. I just caught the group. We're in the mud for one of the first real muddy sections. But this was just the beginning. It was going to get much worse. But you really had to just let the steering go and let the bike roll whichever way it wanted to. And by the way, it seems like I'm doing okay here, but I fell 6 times. That's just getting caught in a rut. Yeah, that's right, 6 times. I fell 6 times. Your front wheel just gets caught in a rut and it's going the opposite way of your body weight and you just fall over. So mostly in deep mud, which we will see soon. So didn't break anything or really hurt anything. A bit of whiplash in the neck, but for the rest I was pretty much okay.
Sorry, what?
So this bottleneck, what happened? The group that I just had ridden away from and put all that effort in came back to us again. So it wasn't for nothing, because I still think I did a good job. But if you hit these bottlenecks, the groups behind catch up to you again. But we also catch up to the groups ahead, so it was okay. And over here, the group started putting the group that I was in started putting the power down, really putting the power down. And I rushed to get back onto a fast wheel so I can stay in the front group. We actually, the 2 groups split up again over here. Some of the guys are going a bit quick, and there's one of them lying on the floor.
Cut it off.
And this is the kind of stuff we were going to see a lot more. There was going to be a lot more swimming and mudding in the future. So I still remember the guy shouting paddle when we approached this piece of water. I think after the 90th paddle he didn't do that anymore, but we were totally surprised that there could be so much water. But that was going to be the way it was going to be for a long time to come. So the guys were putting the power down here in the front, and I was trying to hang on to this group because I did so much effort to get back, but I was struggling a little bit. I did stay in contact, but once you kind of close the gap, you just seem to sometimes have the wrong line in the mud, and you see the gap opening up again by 10 meters to the guys you're trying to catch if they have a good line. Like that guy that came past now probably had a great line, because he just flew past and I almost stood still. So it's difficult to always have the right line or the fastest line, and I found it hard because I'm not very experienced riding with these kind of tires in thick mud. I think I did a pretty good job of it. The group is putting the power down now on the road, but I do have the feeling that the road sections saved me, because I could also put a lot of power down, so I could stay with the group on the road, come back to the group. And I had this guy, I think it was a Belgian guy, who spoke for a while. I think it was Belgium. He was very well groomed. I think the Belgians do that a lot, whirling his legs. Looked very sharp anyway. I rode behind him for a long time, so he really helped me to kind of recover again after my big effort. Pretty cool guy. I think it was Belgium. It could have been from the south of the Netherlands, and had the same accent, but looking at his cycling shirt and stuff, I thought he was a Belgian chap. But this is a bit of mud, but this was not too bad. I mean, it was riding quite nicely, and we were putting the power down big time. And this is what I expected. When I entered the race, this is what I expected. I knew it was going to be a bit wet, but I was enjoying myself over here. It was dry, there was a bit of sun, I was in a good group, we were moving up to the front. But the funny thing is, as a 50-year-old mountain biker, you usually finish with the first or second or third elite woman. Yeah, that's the truth. They started 12 minutes ahead of us, and we caught them in about 60, 70 k's, I think, when the mud started. Once again, starting at the back, I was just kidding in the beginning, it's not a big thing, but it kind of ruins your race if you have to each time slow down because it's single track and there's someone with not much experience, not a good cyclist, and I'm not better than anyone, but I just hope for a better system, because I must honestly say I truly enjoyed this. I really had fun, but I don't think I'm going to do it again if I have to start at the back, because there are so many riders that are not experienced or fast enough that hold you up, and of course I'm not going to win the race, I'm totally aware of that, but I would like to, if I enter a race and I travel 2.5 hours to it and I spend some time to train for it, I would like to do the best I can, but maybe I also have to realize that starting in the back is just what happens if you get older, and just accept that and enjoy it. It was really frustrating on the single trails. If you were riding 30 k's an hour and suddenly you had to go 10 k's or 12 k's an hour, someone really struggling and you couldn't get past. You can ask to get past, but he or she also has nowhere to go, so I don't really like doing that either. You'll see what happens now is, and that happened a lot, you think you take a good line, you get caught in a rut, and this was dry, so it wasn't even muddy. You get caught in a rut and you kind of almost fall off the road. It's really crazy. Like that. And sometimes my right wheel just slid off the right side of the road and I would fall over. So the falls weren't really hard. After the 6th fall I kind of had it. I actually had it after the 3rd fall already. But then at some stage I realized that my front had a slow leak in the front, and maybe that also was causing trouble with steering, but I don't think so. I think the mud was more problem. Look at this, it's just crazy. And then everyone goes to the right, obviously, and it comes to a standstill. But yes, everyone had to deal with this, so not too bad. Once I went into the water there, I hit quite a deep hole. I think half my will disappeared.
Yeah, eh?
It's really muddy, and wet. But from this moment onwards, this is how it would be. This, I don't know how and why, but this part of the course, about 40 k's of it, was totally muddy, and every now and again you had a piece of road, and you could form a little group again, but mostly it was just riding and trying to survive and getting through the mud without falling. Well, in my case that did not happen. I fell 6 times, but it's just falling over or sideways because you get caught in a rut or your front wheel gets stuck in the mud and you can't get your feet out soon enough. So really crazy falls. I never really hurt myself, but the next time I had a bit of a whiplash feeling in my neck. We still come to standstill, but luckily the underground was soft. I had a hard fall coming up soon, but don't have any of my falls on tape, so I am really honest, I fell 6 times. Can't prove it, don't want to either. My neck hurts from that, but it was really rough. And this is where it really got rough, and we also caught the first ladies. And there's only one line really I found, so I just kept sitting behind and waiting for it to get better. As I said earlier, never really got better. And I believe some of these ladies must be cyclocrossers because they actually went through the mud much better than I did. She was just pedaling and going quite well. This was about 70 k's we caught the first ladies, I believe. We started 12 minutes behind them. So I think we rode pretty well, very conservatively, very slow, but it seems like most people have that problem. Sometimes you'll be riding a line and someone will come flying past and you think to yourself, how in heaven's name is that possible? Because this is the only line you can take. He's going, or he or she's going straight through the mud, and they just get going. It's quite incredible. Some people are just really good in the mud. I would like to fix their tires, but I think that it's just technique as well. And once again, you always seem to think there's a better line. But usually, if everyone's riding one line, that's the best line. What a mud. That kind of thing happens so often. You'd be riding a line and the front wheel would just do its own thing. And that's mostly when I fell. She's going across now thinking that's a better line. Probably was, because I'd do it soon as well. I fell in this cornfield, or one of these cornfields as well. Pretty soft. But just, it was an absolute nightmare because every time people thought, hey, we've done that piece of gravel, it's going to get better. Or that piece of mud. As soon as we came around the next corner, there was another one of those pieces, like a trench of mud. Just never ending. Thinking back on it, it was actually quite a lot of fun. But is this really gravel cycling? Is this really racing? No, it was just surviving and putting one pedal in front of the next one. Look at this, it's incredible. Serious battle, fighting to get out of it. The groups really split apart in these sections, but they all came together again on the road. So we always had a kind of a road section or a hard gravel section where everyone came together again. We were all pretty tired fighting the mud. So it looks very nice, pretty smooth. Everyone happy when this happens, and suddenly you just hit a water spot and a mud spot again. I had a front slow leaking puncture and I didn't know at this stage. Soon after this I would plug it and bomb it, and then my tyre was a bit hard, but I thought rather too hard. And if I do still lose a little air, look at this lady gets caught in a rut, and that's how I fell twice, a few times. She saved it, it was a bloody good save, but so suddenly it happens that you don't expect it. So look at that mud, crazy. So I had a slow leak here. I plugged and bombed it, which I did 5Ks later again, plugged and bombed it, but it never held. And a couple of kilometers later, I realized that the hole was too big to plug. It had torn further, I don't know how, but so I did the inner tube. A whole lot of work to get that done with muddy hands and stuff, but I did that, and I couldn't really bomb it much because the tube came out the tire. So that was the end of my race. I was 10 km away from the start finish because it's like a huge loop that comes and goes from the start finish area, and I thought to myself, well, I have one more CO2 cartridge, I have to head home. And it was about 103 kilometers. End of my day, DNF. Can happen, nothing you can do about that. Hey guys, what's up? I've DNF'd after 100 Ks. I'm going home. I fell 6 times. My neck is hurting and I have a headache. Just because of the mud. Not because it's so scary or crazy, but it's no grip anymore. 2 punctures. Plugged it twice and bombed it twice. Now I'm just trying to get home, so I'm not sure I'm gonna make it home on my flat, but I'm totally done. That was a nightmare.